Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everybody. My name is Andy Elliott. I'm a realtor here in Williamson County, Tennessee. And I'm with my best bud, also my therapist, Rodney Wild, who's also in Williamson County with First Bank. How you doing, buddy? You doing good?
Fantastic. Couldn't be better.
Oh, good. Yeah, this weather, I'm digging this. I am. If you're not in Tennessee, it is like wonderful weather these days.
It's been really good. A little bit of rain last couple days, but other than that, temperatures dropped to the fall. The leaves are changing colors. It's a nice time to be in the South.
I'll make a confession. One of my favorite things is waking up on a Sunday morning and it's raining. Oh, God. If I don't have any appointments,
Hmm.
it's like go sailing into football and God, it's great.
Yeah,
So,
I'm going to spend most of my weekends outdoors, so I'm looking for no rain.
see that? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's completely acceptable. I get it. So let's kick this thing off. Here's what the theme is this week. And it's everybody's got an opinion. There's a fuller way to say that. You know what they say about everybody having opinions. What was that you said, Ronnie? um, but I thought today, because like we're 3 minutes away from November, and starting November 1st, along with what is become back to standard daylight time, right? Isn't it standard coming
Hmm.
fall back, spring forward, fall back? What that
Correct.
also brings in is there's a noticeable starting to wind down with real estate. It's just, I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but if it's at all like the regular seasons, it's going to start winding down, which the evidence is in. It's already winding down because I know I mention this every week, but the fact of the matter is, um, got to check something here. Oh, good. Um, the price cuts. I mean, I got 10 of them yesterday. 10 price cuts. That's in Williamson County. 10. So it tells you that things are slowing down. That's a leading indicator of how things going. So what I thought the topic for this week would be, because everybody's trying to figure out what's next. That's isn't that don't you do you get a lot of calls from people saying what do we do? What do you think is happening? Or have people by the time they call you, they've already made up their mind? Which is it?
No, no, it's e- everybody. You know how it is. It's like I've been in the business a long time, and so when I'm at wherever, if I'm at an event or I'm at around people, we the market and always comes up, or a lot of times comes up, and everybody's always at what's next, what do you think's coming, and things like that. So yeah, uh, not just from one source like buyers or something like that. But you get that question a lot, especially when you're around your friends in a similar business, and things like that. So yes, you get it all the time. I guess people. I don't know. It's that whole. We're in that weird situation where we feel like next year is going to be better. Like house prices may go down.
Hmm.
I don't, and they are, and if they do, they'll be very small. I think, my opinion. Rates are coming down. Affordability is doing good. We know the Fed's going to should cut tomorrow, a quarter point at their meeting tomorrow, or cut tomorrow. I think they're meeting today as well.
Hmm.
Uh, but so with that, you know, yeah, I think it's people are waiting to see what's happening, and that's question gets asked a lot. I mean, people actually are waiting right now.
They actually are. And the people in our industry, just like you'd said, a lot of people, their livelihoods are dependent on this volume and what's going on. And so, I mean, we're getting a lot in our interweb, Facebook private pages and stuff. There's a lot of questions by agents across the country saying, what do you think? And, I mean, people are kind of feeling at risk a little bit. I mean, we've got the economy with the shutdown and, let's throw some more chaos in there. Let's just really mix it up. Let's don't be a wuss.
Yeah, things are
But
going too good. Let's shut down the government.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely. I mean, there was a in my company, it's particularly good, and my broker is really a superstar. He really is. He takes care of his agents, and there's 1,800 of us, So I mean, he's got a full-time job. But what he did was he published yesterday an 8-page document because he's like very geeky, and I mean that in a positive way. But he reads all the periodicals, and he's a statistics geek. You don't build a company, multi-million dollar company without being somewhat geekish, I guess. But he created a document, 8 pages of ways to explain why the market is doing what it's doing for his agents to bring to clientele when they're talking about pricing. You know, because a lot of times the first thing that sellers want to know is how much am I going to sell for and how long is it going to take? And those are the two questions. And in this market, you have to be prepared if you don't price it right. And even if you do, quite frankly, you're going to be sitting and waiting for a little bit. So you have to prepare people for that. And it's an 8-page document it's dry reading, but it's important reading if you want to help people understand. So let's kind of dig into this a little bit. And it is, we're going to do what people are predicting about the housing market to come. And I think uh, um, Rodney's covered a taste of it, but there's 2 articles here. And this first one is actually done by a realtor. So be aware that he's probably going to be a positive take, but I still thought it was, in Fox terms, is fair and balanced. I thought it was pretty well done. So let me make sure I got Rodney. Here we go. Thank you. Okay. So here it is, that 2026 housing market outlook. Oops, didn't mean to do that, actually. I did that last week too. After a couple of years where the housing market felt stuck and neutral in 2026 may be the year things shift back into gears. He's already positive. Expert forecasts show more people are expected to move, and that could open the door for you to do the same. More homes will sell. With all the affordability challenges at play over the past few years, many would-be movers pressed pause. But the pause button isn't going to last forever. There's always people who need to move, and experts think more of them will start to act in 2026. Remember, what's holding people back is the golden handcuffs, the 2.7% interest rate. I'm not going anywhere. And the high prices. It would be tough to move and sell and to jump into essentially the same kind of house for 60% more. That would be a tough ask. According to this document, house prices or house sales are expected to rise up to 5.2. Now, we haven't been doing that. We've been doing 4.7, 4.8 for quite a while. I mean, not this is existing home sales. That's been going on for quite a while. To get back up to 5.2 would be impressive, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say,
That'd
Ronnie?
be awesome.
That'd be good. So, what's behind the change? The 2 key factors, of course, this isn't going to change from week to week. Mortgage rates and home prices. Let's dive into the latest expert forecast for both so you can see why more people are expected to move next year. This is good news. So, mortgage rates could continue to ease. The number one thing just about every buyer has been looking for is a lower mortgage rate. And after peaking at nearly 7% earlier this year, rates have started to ease. What is it today? Like 617, something like that?
Yeah, I'm still seeing them around 6, below 6 right now.
Oh my God. That's
It's awesome.
fabulous.
Yes.
The latest forecasts show how you could continue through 2026, but it won't be a straight line down, which is kind of good. And uh, Cantrell used the term you used the other day with that article. Rodney said, we're scraping along the bottom. So expect modest improvements in mortgage rates over the next year, but be ready for some volatility. We've kind of been used to that a little bit. There will be volatility along the way as new economic data comes out. Just don't let it distract you from the bigger picture. The overall trend will be a slight decline. Forecasts say that we could hit the low sixes or maybe even the high fives, which you're saying that we've already done.
Yes.
And are you seeing activity from that? Are people are
Hmm.
you starting to get calls or maybe not refis? Wait, it's,
Yeah,
What do you
I mean,
think?
refi activity's probably picked up, and I couldn't estimate the percentage of it because it's
Hmm.
like when it goes from 0 to you get 50 loan apps or something as a company, it goes up 10,000%. So I
Hmm.
don't know what the stats are on it, but the refi applications are definitely going up, and I'm getting, we have systems that alert us when our customers get like, so I'm waking up to daily emails saying, "Hey, your customer has above 7%. Take a look at this one," and things like that. Um, a lot
Hmm.
of them don't make
Hmm.
sense yet, but they probably will, if it continues this trend, but it gets a conversation started if the customers, you never know if they're staying in the house or and stuff like that. So
And it's just like you've been saying all along. There's concentric rings of activity where people, pent up activity at different levels. Everybody has their own number where they'll jump in, and so I get that makes sense to me. So to continue, and remember, there doesn't have to be a big drop for you to feel a change. Even a smaller dip helps your bottom line. If you compare where rates are now to when they were 7% earlier this year, you're already saving hundreds on your future mortgage payment, and that's a really good thing. It's enough to make a real difference in affordability for some buyers. Home price growth will be moderate. I couldn't agree with that. I'm telling you, if it doesn't go in reverse, I will be really surprised. So what about prices on a national scale? Forecasts say they're still going to be a rise, but just not by a lot. With rates down from their peak earlier this year, more buyers will re-enter the market, and that increased demand will keep some upward pressure on prices nationally and prevent prices from tumbling down. So even though some markets are already seeing slight price declines, particularly in the South and the West, I understand, you can rest easy that a big crash just isn't in the cards. Thanks to how much prices rose over the last 5 years, even the markets seeing declines right now are still up compared to just a few years ago. So of course, price trends will depend on where you are and what's happening in your local market. Inventory is a big driver in why some places are going to see varying levels of appreciation going forward. And we're seeing one of the articles that I've got queued up that we may not be able to get to when it's talking about inventory. There is a situation where sellers are pulling their houses off the market at really record rates, like 15 and 16%, which is high by comparison. And so that taps into that inventory. And so to finish up, this will be yet another good sign for buyers and overall affordability. While prices will still go up nationally, it'll be at a much more sustainable pace. After a quieter couple of years, 2026 is expecting to bring more movement and more opportunity, with sales projected to rise, mortgage rates trending lower, and price growth slowing down. The stage is set for a healthier, more active market. How do you feel about that article in general?
I really like it. One, I like. I'll say this: the home price forecast. NBA has it down 0.2%. Fannie Mae has it up 1.1. And the highest is 4.0. Wells Fargo 3.4. And of course, I thought the article did a couple good things. One is the article I thought, one, it always says you've got to always say, hey, check your local market, right? Local is local. When I'm talking about 1%, I'm talking about what I think our whole state will do. Or, I'm not talking about the hottest pocket in Nashville or the hottest pocket in
Hmm.
Franklin, or a special school district zone and things like that. Those are always going to be unique kind of situations. Um, but yeah, I thought it also did a good job of, realizing about what point, that 5.75 number percent rate is when they think people are going to start jumping off the fence, where you can
Hmm.
notice it pretty good. So, I thought he touched on, or the otter, I don't know, as he or she, but I thought they touched on a lot of good things and was very, I liked it. I liked the article. It didn't promise too much. it's, but I agree with it. I think the outlook's fantastic. The rates are already a little bit better than what they were projecting. Um, we know that the market inventory is a little bit down, but we'll see how things go over the next. And I've told my team here, I expect this quarter to be our busiest quarter all year. Honestly,
The
um,
fourth quarter?
yeah, yeah. I think rates are going to. I think I may be overzealous. I'll be the first to say that, but I just think that rates are right now giving people some opportunities that they didn't have a year ago. When we're getting at, especially some government rates or mid fives, things like that. That's a pretty good rate from where we were.
Oh,
And if somebody needs to get in a spot, let's beat this rush. It's going to get busier. I don't think it's going to be a rush. I think it's going to be
smooth
kind of,
transition
yeah,
kind of a
yeah.
thing. Yep.
Like the article said, and it's true as all get out. Rates go up on an elevator and they come down the stairs.
I
I
like
mean,
that.
they skyrocket going up. But I mean, they could go up 1% in one day, but they would never come down that fast.
Mm-mm. And to
Yeah.
think about that, remember we were kind of scoffing, maybe not scoffing is the wrong word, but we were talking about six, and I was like, oh, I don't know. I mean, it seemed pretty unlikely here a few months ago, and yet I'll just say it, with everything that this administration has been doing, and all the stuff, the sky is falling kind of people is just going to crush the economy. Look what's happened. all the I'm not a fan of this shutdown. That's really messing things up, in my opinion. It's messing with people's heads. For even people that are unaffected to hear about so many people that are, it's disconcerting. It seems to me.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a little wild. It's gone on this long, but I'll let them fight out their battles up there. That's what they're there for.
that's
Um,
yeah.
but I do know the ADP numbers came out. ADP runs the largest payroll
Yes.
company, uh, and their numbers come out, and didn't look great because they had lost some job. They predict, they've said some job loss that. So now we don't have any government reporting about this data,
Yep.
to go along with it, with this shutdown. So it's just kind of silly, but yeah, like I said, it's. But going back to the article was a great article. With I thought it was right on point with the rates, how they escalate, and come down, how each local markets, you know, different. So
Yep.
but it's a very good outlook is what I like.
It is a good outlook, and if I were to throw my 2 cents into what it's usually done over the years, I would say this, and the reason I kind of mentioned kicking it off, that it's hard to believe that we're just 2 days away or whatever it is from November. I mean, Jesus, it was June a minute ago, but here we are in November, and what I've seen over the years is that people will start to camp out. They'll slow down a little bit with the rates. If he's going to cut rates tomorrow, that doesn't mean mortgage rates is going to drop, but it sends a good signal, that's for sure. But typically in the winter season, people will slow down and they'll kind of hunker down. And the thing I've always said about the holiday season is you end up with two categories of, you got a buyer and a seller that are motivated. If somebody's going out and looking at houses, they're serious. The looky-loos have pretty much gone for the season. If you've got home sellers that are listed and active, they're serious. And so of those two, there's a pretty high hit rate. Buyers and sellers getting out there, they're both serious. So you'll have faster contracts with fewer showings and stuff like that. It's just that the total number of sales may go down. And what I'm suggesting is, after we get through the holiday season, not that I'm suggesting it's not dead yet, but it's beginning that slowdown. Every spring, I don't care, even last year, even when it was all that trepidation stuff, spring is almost always pretty positive and people are pretty active. And so
Hmm.
I, it, it, numbers affect people a lot less when that again, that pent up demand peeks his head out, like middle of January. I
Yes.
mean, because here we go, Um, does that hold any water with you? Does that make sense at all?
Yeah,
That
it does. It's totally, like I said, I'm hoping and projecting our fourth quarter will be our biggest, but um, when it comes, and it's against all odds, like you're saying. October here in a couple of days, we're gonna have Halloween, and then we
yeah,
go into Thanksgiving, and then we go into Christmas, and nobody wants anybody in their house showing or having to keep their house ready for strangers to come in and look at all times. So yeah, it's against all odds to have our best quarter, but I still think with the rates dipping, I think there's some opportunity there that there may be some pent up demand. I'm thinking in our area that's going to carry us through.
well, and I would agree with you that it could be your best quarter, and it sounds like counter what I'm saying. But when I was with another brokerage for a dozen years, typically our hottest month, one of our hottest months, not the, but one of the hottest months was December. Now that's the closing date is in December, so you put it in place in November. Um, but for a decade, that was what was happening because a lot of people want to be in their new house for Christmas. They do, you
Yeah,
know.
for Thanksgiving, they want to be in for the weekend.
Mhm.
It's, I
That's
mean,
it.
that's when you're excited and you're buying a house, you want to get in. It's like weekends are special because you're gonna have people help you move, but yeah, it's a strange time. And I remember a few years ago, I just felt like maybe 10 years ago, I felt like we've just lost seasons,
Mm,
traditional seasons in this business, like. And it's been like so busy with before COVID, during all that, it didn't matter what month it was, it was just
yep.
busy.
Yep.
uh, so a lot of times the market drives it. So I was kind of hoping the same thing might happen with a little bit lower interest rate, and we have a great fourth quarter.
You make a good point. Since 2020, it's been uh, uh, the market has been out of the ordinary. You're absolutely, chaotic. I can't use any better word than that. So that's not bad. We're just riding it
Right.
out. Hey, we're
I
just
mean,
riding it out.
the market's the market. I mean, it's you just get it's not always going to be seasonal like,
Yeah.
maybe it is in the Hamptons. Like if you're, selling, $10 million homes in the Hamptons or whatever they are up there, that exclusive place, you probably have the winters off.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Probably.
normal, I'm a traditional family, retail sales guy, so I deal, we don't deal with that too much.
Yeah. Anyway. I thought that was interesting. And the next one, the title of the next one is A Real Estate Boom is Coming, Rose. So get ready for that. But in the meantime, it's time for Rodney's Riff. Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get this thing rolling here. Um, Question comes from Zip Zap Zop. Pay down student loans or save for down payment? What a great question. My fiance, 25, and I, 26, are currently living with my parents to save money and pay down our debt. We just paid off his car and now have about 95,000 combined in student loans,
Hmm.
but that's our only debt. We are torn between saving and for a down payment and paying off debts. If we do both, we won't make enough headway in either direction. I'm not sure which will actually make it possible for us to get a house in the next 2-ish years. We make about 95 combined and are afraid of getting priced out of the housing market in our area. Is it better to pay down our student loans or save for a solid down payment for a house?
Hmm.
All right. I think that's a really great question. Um, I will say that, say, my first question is, why wouldn't you have asked your parents that? Like, you're living with them. So, you know, you're on Reddit. I'm just wondering, so I'll I'm worried about two things here with their scenario. I'll give you mine. Give you my kind of rundown of it and see if everybody agrees with me in the comments. I'm concerned about two things. One is I'm concerned about you getting priced out of the housing market in your area. If you know it's a thing and it's happening, then it's a valid concern, because it's a valid concern where, like if my son was buying or something like that. So I totally get that. I'd be concerned about that. The other thing I am concerned about is the 95,000 in student loan debt. I couldn't, I'm kind of a conservative, and I understand student loans are student loans. I definitely don't fault anybody for having student loans. I think they're
Mm,
well worth it.
mhm,
Um, the first thing I say about your student loans, 95,000 seems like a lot. It is a lot. However, making 95,000 a year combined, your debt ratio, since you don't have any other debt, your student loans is right in line with what, let's say Fannie Mae would, or FHA would be asking you to keep your debts around. So that $1,000 payment you have on those student loans is about, 12.5% of your gross income. Um, and that's about what Fannie Mae and FHA would like to see when you go get approved. Um, so keep that in perspective. The My suggestion for you would be is I would talk to a lender, and here's what I'm saying is I think that if you were in our area, there are very good 100% programs that you could look at. Being a first-time home buyer, not making a crazy amount of money, and you could get in, you could possibly find a 100% loan, no MI, things like that in your area that may help you get into something in the two, before the two-ish year. Um, the thing I would suggest would be is keep knocking out those debts. I would love to see another 20,000 come off or something like that, and then you figure out about try to maybe get in for a loan at 100%, and actually kind of knock out. When you said you can't do both and make headway, you actually can. I think it's possible for you, to get a 100% loan with a really good deal and keep your price in your price range. And then the second thing is use your income while you're living with your parents to pay down some of that 95. Man, if you get it 75, 65, I think that'd be really, really solid. And then get into a house before you got priced out. So that's my take on it. Um, let's see what the people in the comment section say, and we'll go from there. All right. Salt Bay your mom. Salt Bay is that dude that does that salt, right? And
I
cooks those
don't know.
crazy steaks, and he draws the salt like that on it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's Salt Bay. Anyways, uh, what is the interest rate? Over 5%, you should pay it off. So they didn't put a lot of thought into it, obviously. They just kind of threw a number out there and said it's over 5, you should pay it off. And here's where um, the poster put out there that they almost most at 2.5%, a couple at 4.5%, but our monthly payments combined are around $1,000.
Hmm.
Um, so um, if you gross 8,000 a month, which they do, they gross 95 is right at a little over 8,000 a month.
Mhm.
Then your debt ceiling is 4,000. That means you could get approved for a house payment up to 3,000 per month. Didn't really answer any kind of the question at all. It just gave them some information there. Um, see what you can afford, then that student loan payment is in your budget. See what you can afford, then with that student loan payments in your budget. Okay, I think Salt Bay your mom's coming back with another comment after she answered the first one there. So it's kind of what I'm saying. I would definitely go and speak to a lender where you could get pre-approved and um, with the debt, but hopefully you're paying it down or it's paid down quite a bit before you contract on a house. If not, I mean, you're still like that would be my best suggestion, is to continue to pay down the debt as long as you can live with your parents. Like if it's not bothering
Mm.
you, stay there another year. But man, I don't know how I could live with, that'd be tough to do. At a young age, it's tough to live with your parents, right? I mean, it just is. Put each balance and each corresponding rate into a blended rate calculator. Google it. Super simple. What is your blended rate on 95,000? It's going to be pretty low, and therefore don't pay off early. All
What?
right, there you go. Put
So
it in a
simple.
blender and calculate it, and then Google it, and then don't pay it off. There you go. I don't know.
That's it.
Here, somebody says you can also deduct up to $2,500 off your taxes for student loan interest without paying needed to itemize. Okay, that's a good tax. Don't help them with their question, but save for 1.5 years of emergency funds because economy is rough. If you don't have any funds, then shoot for 3 months emergency and grow from there. Pay off some of the 4.5% loans. Only pay minimums on 2.5. It's basically free money.
What?
Well, that's actually a good suggestion. Pay off some of the 4.5% loans instead of the 2.5% ones. But surely they had done that, and I'm assuming that's why they paid off the car before.
Mm.
And I'm I don't know. Save 1.5 years of emergency funds because that's just too much. Emergency funds is emergency funds. Like you can get out of a lot of emergencies in 3 months. Like if you're in an emergency for 1.5 years, you probably hadn't saved for it. So just move on with that one. I don't know. Aggressively pay off the debt for 2 years. And I see why somebody says that right off the bat, but what they don't understand if they're in their area and say we go 2 years and it continues to get better and we end up getting down to 4.75%, and they've got 30,000 in student loans or whatever their balance is, say they paid 60 off in 2 years, but that house is 100 more.
Mm.
Um, you know, uh, they definitely could. They definitely could. I don't know. Yeah, they moving in at a good time is priceless almost to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Save for the down payment first. The loans won't stop you from getting a mortgage if you keep payments current, but missing the market. Mike, once you've got the house, you can tackle the student loans harder. I agree with that. As long as they're affordable and all that stuff, and I'm sure it would be. And then,
Mm.
sorry, country, pay off all debt before you can make the biggest purchase of your life. Just don't agree with it in this circumstance. Pay off debt first. Where do you live? Home prices are going down in some areas. That's a good thing to consider. I'm assuming that person knows their market and said, I'm afraid of being priced out of my area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she was something southeast Wisconsin.
Right. That's what I see it.
It feels like everything is skyrocketing. The only houses in our price range are demo houses, and I'm worried it'll get even worse. It will.
Hmm.
It will. It
Hmm.
may only be 1% this year, maybe 2%, maybe a negative 2%, but it's going to get worse before the 2 years is over. Well, I
Hmm.
think
Hmm.
I'll pass on the rest of them. They've got a lot of comments there, but they seem to all be saying a lot of the same things. A lot of people just disagree with kind of my take there. Several, I wouldn't say a lot of people, maybe a lot of people. Who knows? But I think each person and individual you just try to meet their goals. And she was worried about two things, or she was worried about being priced out and not being able to get a house in 2 years. and she couldn't tackle the student loans and the down payment at the same time. So I think your first option is to keep paying the student loans down and find a lender that can get you a good zero down or a very minimal down, and take care of those student loans after you get in. So
That's Rodney's riff.
that's the reality check.
It kind of sounds like that was really, really good because that's a good question. It is. And does it sound, did I miss something? But is that somebody that, if I can chip into what you were talking about a little bit, um, the assumption that you have to have a huge down payment, is that typically where that kind of thing comes from? I know I read the same thing you did, but I'm stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I just think a lot of first-time homebuyers don't know their options, and they've only known what they've heard or what their friend tells them, or somebody on Reddit says. Um, they don't. I mean, there's a we have such a crazy good right now, and they're not always around, but we have such a crazy good 100% loan program right now.
Hmm.
Like if this person qualified for it and it was in that area, they'd be crazy not to do it. It's no PMI. You get a rate that's a quarter below what THDA, the Tennessee Housing Development Agency rate is, and it's just a phenomenal program. But it's got to be in a certain area. You got to be, it's
Is
just
that
census
US?
tract based.
Is that USDA?
No, that's a portfolio program we have.
Well, let's take a
USDA has the same thing. USDA has a 100% program, and with a little bit of mortgage insurance, but not like half of what FHA would be. And then there's a 3% conventional. Even if they couldn't go all the way 100%, there's a 3% conventional loan that's making 95,000 a month. They could probably save that down payment pretty quickly.
can, would it be can I ask you to kind of flesh out that? I mean, this is what we do. Can I ask you to flesh out that 100% loan that you guys do? Is that acceptable?
Yeah, absolutely. What we have is we have several counties that our bank is present in, and what we're trying to do is it's our initiative, what's called Community Reinvestment Act initiative. Every bank has to do so much Community Reinvestment Act initiatives to if they're doing a lot of loans. And First Bank does a ton of loans, so we're always this is nothing that we have to do, or it's something that we're doing as we're not forced to do it. We're not under any penalty or anything like that. I don't want to mean to say that, but it's an area we wanted to improve on. So our bank has come up with some product. They've actually just modified a really good product that we had that was 100% loan. But what they've done is they said, okay, there's no income limits and there's no loan amount limits if you do it in these areas. It has to be a county and a certain census tract. And then so anybody in that area would get that loan. So if you've got, like this person, you could say, hey, if you're looking in this, I could tell you, hey, if you're looking in this census tract, or you could call me and say, hey, is this address in that area? I could check it. You could do it. It's the Fannie Mae website. So,
Wow.
so it's just a phenomenal product. And we're not the only bank in the world that does it. There's a lot. I don't know if any other bank has one going around here right now. US Bank had one a while back that was it was the word on the street. It was a good loan, but it was kind of hard to close. It was a word on the street, but but anyways, the loan that loan there, I just think it's just a way to it's there's just really good 100% loans out there right now, I guess is
God.
my point for them.
Yeah.
And when it's the thing I like about them is that if it's a good 100% loan, it's not going to be like, okay, you finance something and your rate's 2 points higher than the normal rate, where you're getting a break on the rate, and maybe even the PMI go along with it, because you're a first time home buyer and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And does that cover all metro counties or most of them maybe? Do you know?
It's I forget what it's Williamson, Davidson, Rutherford. Um, there's like seven of them. I think there's seven counties.
Got it.
It's
I'll put that in the description box. 100% loan. Talk to Rodney. I'll make sure to include that. That's a big deal. Thank you for letting me press on that. That's pretty cool. Um, Great riff. I'm glad we had that talk. Let's. So I want to move on to the next article really quick, and we're gonna. It's called. And this is just remember the theme of the show is everybody's got an opinion, and the other guy was kind of balanced. I thought this guy is saying there's going to be a real estate boom coming, and so we'll chat about that just for a couple of minutes, and then we'll move on. So this is from the Hill. So times are not great either for residential or commercial real estate and construction industries. Thanks to chronic underbuilding, increased construction costs, labor shortages, and high interest rates, house prices are at all-time highs. To make matters worse, builders are slowing down and elevated financing costs as economic uncertainties are keeping new projects and residents at bay. Now that may be true in general, but in Franklin, there's another one coming up. It's down Franklin Ridge. Is that what it's called? They got another one coming up. So Franklin's doing well. But will this last forever, meaning the slowdown? No. And when things do turn around, I predict a boom unlike any other. Quite the claim. The real estate industry, according to NAR, makes up and home builders makes up anywhere from 14 to 18% of the gross domestic product. This means the coming boom, wow, that's big, will have an enormous impact on the economy. Sellers, builders, contractors, lawyers, and all the rest that are both directly and indirectly connected to the industry will benefit. So what needs to happen? Here we go. He's given us the formula. You ready, Rodney? Write this down. Got your
I'm
notes.
ready.
Okay. First, mortgage rates will have to fall. Okay, probably below 5.5%. I think we've visited that a moment ago. Yes, there are still many people holding 2% mortgages, and they would probably grimace at the idea of getting new mortgages at today's rates. That is probably true, but not as many people as you think. According to federal FIFA, about 22% of outstanding U.S. mortgages carry rates below 3%, whereas approximately 14.3% of outstanding mortgages have rates above 6%. That means that almost 2/3 of mortgage holders have rates between 3 and 6%. Pretty good math. They are the ones poised to come into the market when rates come down. And there's a degree of truth to that, wouldn't you think? Would you agree with
Yeah,
that?
and what I found was really wild was the 22% of outstanding U.S. mortgage carry rates below 3%. Now, I'd like to
Mm-hmm.
see that if it was like 3.5%. I'd like to see what
Mm-hmm.
that number is. Um, but that would have been lower than what I thought by double
Huh.
digits.
Really?
Yeah, I would assume, if we're going to claim that the golden handcuffs, we can't claim that it's only 22% of the population,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
the go,
Good
so
point.
that was it's a good eye opener for me. Is like, hey, I'm you know I just thought it'd been more.
I just think that's a great observation. I didn't catch that. So for these buyers, meaning that 3 to 6%, for these buyers, it'll no longer be a big additional cost to buy a new home once the current mortgage rates fall below 5.5. I kind of agree with that because I'm telling you, when people, because I've seen this repeatedly over the past couple of decades, the mentality, and I love home buy. I'm the same way. If I'm looking for a car, if I'm in the mood, man, there's not a lot that's going to stop me if I find the one I like. You know what I mean? It's
Oh
like,
yeah,
damn it, I can put up with an extra 200 a month. It's okay. But home buyers are the same way. Once we get started, it's exciting. It's exciting. So already at today's 6.2% rate, 6.2. That's we're less than that according to Rodney. Now I look at the one that that runs a little high because it's national, but 6.2. We'll just say that for now. On a 30-year, they can already save about $200 a month on a $550,000 house compared to the beginning of the year, and it's 7%. I mean, we're moving. We're making some movement here. The trend is heading in the right direction. That is true. If inflation expectations are curtailed, and it seems like uh, inflation seems to be in pretty good hands. I had one news organization that was bemoaning inflation, and the other one, same numbers, saying, God, it's looking really good. So I don't know where to land on that. But if inflation expectations are curtailed in bond market yields, which drives mortgage rates decline a bit more, we could see that happening in the next 12 months. I have to agree. Third, and then we're going to get Rodney in here. Third, income levels must keep rising faster than inflation. You were talking about ADP. As reported, the U.S. economy has lost 32,000 jobs last month, with the Bureau of Labor Statistics on hiatus due to the shutdown. The ADP number was widely reported, and deservingly so, as not great news for the economy. But ADP also reported, and remember this, is actual data from their payroll system covering millions of workers over the last month. Wage gains, for stayers with 4.5%, and among job leavers 6.6%. So from that perspective, and that's what you were saying earlier, that's a positive thrust, correct? Trend?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's I see it that way. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm. And think about this too. The stock, all the markets that depend on like all of these data points and everything, they're flying blind, and they've been doing so for weeks, and it's still left to their own design. The stock market's, I don't know what it is right this moment, but this morning was doing pretty good.
mhm.
So just to finish up here, inflation is currently running about 2.9%. So wages seem to be staying well above price increases. Many younger earners have chosen to stay out of the housing market and instead pay rent. We talked about that, which makes economic sense in these higher interest rates. But with income staying so far above inflation and rates decreasing in the future, I can see many moving from being renters to ownership in the next few years. Of course, we got Grant Cardone out there promoting never buy, right? That guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he was but he's wanting you to he's wanting you to buy at like wasn't it 13 and something and rent it out for $25 a month or
Something like
something
that, yeah.
with his allowance.
That's right.
Yes.
So here's what I finished the article this way because I thought it was kind of interesting because I'm in this group. So fourth, baby boomers will keep passing on wealth. That's not the same as a kidney stone. It's passing on their wealth. A recent report in Fortune summarizes the financial impact. America, and this is, I'm going to be really interested for your input on this. America stands at the edge of the most dramatic shift in personal finance ever measured. The generational transfer of nearly $124 trillion in assets over just 25 years, which you've said in past that silver tsunami thing would take decades. That's what they're talking about, right? I think. According to the wealth transfer report from Boston Wealth Management, published in 25, a combination of demographic and economic forces will see a record amount of wealth move from baby boomers and older Americans to heirs, widows, and charities by 2048. Seems like forever, but I remember 2 minutes ago it was the year 2000. Remember Y2K? So, but just let me think. And as these people pass on, as these people pass on, yes, I'm one of them, even more wealth will pass down from them. This transfer of wealth will play a significant role towards helping younger generations buy homes. I've got an input on this. So everything is a cycle. For the last few years, the real estate industry has been moving downward, but that will inevitably change. And when that change happens, this industry will see a boom unlike any boom it has seen before. When will this happen? No one knows, but soon, assuming the above factors continue their trend. Rodney, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's that's pretty wild. I'm not so sure about their boom. Like we're sitting here thinking that the outlook is better. Like everybody's projecting more sales, and we may be a tick ahead of rates right now. Uh, but I thought it was very interesting about the passing along of wealth. That's as long as house prices stay really good, stay where they're at, and the stock market doesn't crash. Because as soon as if those two were to happen, then there's a lot of that wealth gone. But uh, that's a lot of changeover coming up in the next 25 years. Um,
124 trillion is a bunch of money, and I'm going to be a little bit devil in the details on that. Here's what I'm thinking. With the with the way with the way how do I say this? I'm not so sure that passing down wealth, for some people getting wealth passed down, they will treat it with the respect that it deserves, because most baby boomers that have wealth to pass on, they did it by saving their money, living within their means, doing all the Dave Ramsey stuff that you got to do to gather wealth, whatever that is. I mean, they've worked hard, they've lived again within their means, that kind of stuff. But if all of a sudden you dump a ton of money on some guy that wants a vet, or I don't know what it would be, a lot of it's going to go to houses for those that real estate, for those that are smart enough to treat that gift as what it is, a gift. But there's going to be, I think, this is just a horrible thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's going to be a lot of waste going on.
Is that? I can't
I
believe
mean,
that ain't terrible. I mean, that's reality. I mean, you know how many times that somebody has come to me and said, I mean, basically they're spending the inheritance before they got it. Like, how many times have you waited for an inheritance for a closing? Because it's jumping the gun. It's like you spend it before you actually get it. It's so yeah, you're that, and that's kind of the thing, isn't it? Like they say, it's like if my father built a business and maybe I was in it, but by the third generation that the company sold or a farm or whatever it is. Um, so yeah, but that's a lot of trillion. That's a lot of uh, the housing. People have that much equity or money given to them or inherited. Yeah, I think there's going to be a significant percentage that upgrades housing, pays off housing, things like that.
yeah, I think that the reason I'm being cautiously optimistic about that is really two things. You are absolutely correct. 124 trillion. I don't care how you slice it. That's a big
Yeah,
number.
the Corvette factory is going to be just fine in Kentucky.
They're going to be doing good. But over 25 years, I think that I agree with you wholeheartedly that will it be a boom? Not like this guy paints a picture of it. I mean, he's got, I think, in this imagining that all of that money is going to be funneled and used properly.
Yeah,
10% maybe.
yeah.
Maybe 10%.
Well, I mean, it'll be used properly for whoever gets it. They're just not all going to be using it. What maybe somebody conservative would call it wisely.
Yeah, yeah. And it's me being
Because
judgmental.
I'm a
Sorry. I
Corvette guy.
think,
I'm a Corvette guy.
yes,
I love
you are.
Corvettes. I had one a while back.
And you drive
Had
a
to get
very
rid
nice
of
Chevy as it is. Well, I guess not. It is a Chevy, but Cadillac kind of Chevy. So just a couple of thoughts. I just want to add just a couple of thoughts. Um, that was fun, kind of drifting into that. Yeah, 124 trillion. I want to end up with just a couple of thoughts on this. I've said that 4 times. I think the point has been made. Let me get into this. Because we're talking about, I'm going to finish it this way. Because we're talking about price cuts and the stuff that's going on, and I mean, even as we've been doing this program, I've been getting notifications of price cuts. I mean, can I get a boop, little boop? That's happening. And what the title of the article, I'm not going to read the whole thing or anything, but the sellers are getting real about prices. And it's all I read is just a couple of thoughts. New study finds that nearly 20%. Now, this is a little bit of an older article, maybe a week old. 20% of home sellers are reducing their asking prices in September, with most motivated sellers at the bottom of the housing ladder. I might even mention this. In the 500 to 750 range, counting for 18% of the listings. Here's kind of what I'm getting at about the closings. I mean, the price reductions. When I get these, it's how do I explain this, Rodney? Of the price cuts that I get, it tells you how much it is. So on $1 million house, like there, I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, there was a $3 million house and they lowered the price by like $5,000. I mean, what what kind of conversation was that, you know? But of all
Yeah.
those price cuts, it is all over the map. And I think I did mention this a couple of weeks ago, that there was one with 20 and one with 5 and one with 1,000. The reason I bring that up is that if you're having those kinds of disparity on price cuts to get the house sold, which is the goal, what that means is that sellers aren't being, you're not having that conversation up early so that they know what to expect when the price cuts come. And I'm talking to home sellers. If you're getting ready to sell your house, ask your realtor about what do price cuts look like? How often will they be? Is it a certain percentage? You know, what's it going to be like? Because it's the title being sellers get real about prices. When somebody gets to the point where they withdraw their listing rather than sell it, they didn't have a fair conversation up front. And the market is only partially to blame for that. So I just wanted to throw that in there. That's all.
I want to jump in and say, after reading the articles, they broke it down and said the bottom end, the lower price ranges, like 350 and under, are
Mhm.
taking are reducing their prices more than the multi-million dollar listings. Yeah, it's not by very much, but it's like, hey, the lower end of the price range are basically, in my opinion, are working deals out. The upper end of the price range are saying, oh, I'd rather just keep my house than sell it.
Mhm.
So it's kind of wild that, the both end, you could say, well, the multi-million dollar may not need the money, may not have to be forced to sell or whatever, but if they're selling, they wanted to sell.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
but I also see people in this market. We've seen people said, well, if I sell it for this, I'd sell it. Like,
That's a kind
if,
of a
if the
make me
market would
move
bring
price.
this, I would take it. If not, I'm happy staying here. So
And of course, and we'll kind of finish it up this way. And you're absolutely right. I'm sorry I didn't point that out. But in the lower end, quite frankly, people are much more price conscious. You know, where 10 or 15 or $20,000, that means a lot. You know, I mean, that can mean difference between
yeah,
making it and not making it. If you're talking this multi-million dollar stuff, if something's $3 million, if that's what they got it listed at, don't be shocked when somebody says, "I'll give you 2.5." You know,
yeah,
and you'll
right,
have a conversation with them. You know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I mean, the big dollars are much less sensitive about that. They're not
Yeah,
even
not
low. I mean,
299,999. You know,
that's exactly right.
yeah.
Wow, what a good show. That turned out really good. Everybody's got an opinion. Now, I don't know. Well, next week will probably be about J Pal and that kind of stuff and, those guys. So, any final thoughts there, Rodney?
No, just keep doing it. Keep rolling.
We, we did. We did really good. Thank you for everything, Rodney. And I'll talk to you next week. That was exciting. Thanks for Rodney's riff. Always good. And but that's everybody. We'll see you later. Bye bye now.